Before the mid-60s, Americans had never heard the term SUV, but the Ford Motor Company changed all that. In 1966, the new Bronco was an instant hit when it first rolled off the assembly line. Now, a group of craftsmen in this small shop is looking to rekindle that 50-year-old spark. They're bringing new life to an original Bronco and giving it modern-day technology underneath. Their mission? Make an American legend even better. Welcome to the brand new muscle car shop in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You know, the guys here have decades of experience restoring classic cars like this 1971 Oldsmobile 442. But this time they've accepted a new challenge, essentially building a 1966 Ford Bronco from scratch. They did start with an original body from 1966, but everything else on this Bronco employs the latest in automotive technology. When the team here is finished, they'll have a 53-year-old SUV with the heart of a brand new muscle car.
Now it's time to put something in this big hole. What we're going to put in is the heart of the project, the engine. Our friends in Scoggin Dickey got us a brand new 5.0 Coyote crate motor. We're going to mount it to a Tremec 5-speed, a brand new 4050. We got that from our friends at SilverSpork Transmission. Our master mechanics, Richard and Omar, are going to have a lot of fun making this thing fit.
Well, you know, to put all this modern driveline in this old Bronco body, we had to do some body modifications. The engine's offset to the passenger side in these things, so we had to trim some out of the passenger side inner fender to make room for the valve cover and the exhaust header. And then we had to remove this brace, and I'll put this back in later in a different location, to make room for the oil filter. Omar's already got some of the preliminary wiring in. And then, Omar, what'd you have to do inside?
We had to cut out the transmission tunnel.
We had to make room for this massive TR4050 transmission. It's almost double the size of the original transmission. We've already put our stock style heavy-duty clutch on, and to get the new Coyote motor to mate up to the new TR4050 hasn't been done before. So the guys over at SilverSpork, this is their prototype bell housing to mate the Coyote motor to the new transmission. That's good. All right, on these Bronco swaps, nobody makes swap headers yet or anything like that, so we had to take a trip over to the Make Stuff Work department. What this is actually the left side exhaust manifold off a 2018 Mustang. And what I did is I cut the converter off of it, and I'll make my own flange for it. It fits perfect, it tucks right inside the frame rail, it won't be in the way. And then on the other side, I took the passenger side truck manifold and I cut it into pieces, and I made my own Y pipe and collector. And again, it comes right around, tucks just inside the frame, so I can run the exhaust out the back. We'll have to tilt it down a little bit once we get close. Okay, coming down.
More. More.
Okay, that's it. It's in.
All right.
So we've got 3 shops, collision, restoration, builds. They're all busy, they're all growing, but the classic car side, the restorations and builds, has grown a bunch. And so we are out looking right now actively for more space. One of the really handy things about Kathy is she's an ex-realtor. So now that we're looking to expand and looking for more space, we send Kathy out.
I found the place on Redbud. Looked like a big airplane hangar. And they're like, this is perfect.
She finds a building, it's a few miles away, it's about 3 times bigger, it's got a parking lot, it's got a fenced-in area in the back, it's got a bunch of doors, more space, ability to move around. It's got pretty much the perfect layout, so we're really excited.
The paint booth is going to go right here.
Okay.
We've already measured it.
Okay.
It's going to go right here from this line to here. Then we'll have enough room to put 2 prep stations over there, along with the mixing room, because we're going to have one of those in.
I want to go ahead and show the rest of the guys the other building.
I'm going to go enjoy my big space.
There you go. This is kind of the crown jewel, our little 3-ton crane here. Automatic power, 13-foot hook height. You got about an 18-foot bay height.
Yeah,
What I like about this is it could be completely separate. So all the dust and everything will be completely separate. So when we get in here, we're not gonna have to re-clean cars 4 and 5 times because of the dust.
Right.
So this could be the Kathy area. This could be all Kathy's area.
From here on, this is my office.
Okay.
My office.
Guys, I think we're looking at the brand new muscle car.
Perfect. Great.
So much room for activities.
We're going to shift gears for a moment and head to break. When we return, we check out the source of this Bronco's new monstrous transmission. And we'll learn about the power plant that made early Broncos giddy up.
Brand new muscle car classic Bronco is brought to you by Clam Pipe, the clamp making tool. SilverSpork Transmission, overdrive transmission kits everyone loves, delivered with pride. And by Exalta Coating Systems, we paint winners.
Tulsa. It was known for technological advancements during the oil boom of the early 20th century. And 100 years later, a group of local craftsmen are still on the leading edge of innovation. The men and women here at the brand new muscle car shop create cars and trucks that look like the classics, but hide an amazing secret. All new technology underneath. On this Bronco, that means a high-tech engine and transmission combination.
SilverSpork Transmission has been our transmission place for a while now, and one of the interesting things about transmissions, when you go to buy a transmission, it's not just a transmission, right? So we need flywheel, clutch, pressure plate, bell housing, everything. As I always tell them, sell me everything from the pilot bearing all the way back to the yoke as a match set. So when it comes to me here, it's a kit. I get a box, I get all the parts, I hand it to the guys, it all goes together. We're not running to O'Reilly 17 times. It's easy.
SilverSpork Transmissions was started by Jack Silver in 2014. Since then, we've grown to become one of the largest Tremec distributors in the country and one of the fastest growing Tremec distributors as well. We specialize in taking the Tremec product and making it fit other applications that it may not work with out of the box. So if you have a particular vehicle that needs a special shifter location or custom shifter location, that's what we do. Engineered muscle car packages, street rods, trucks, and now four-wheel drive. So we have full engineering, design, production capability. So our specialty is really designing packages that will fit particular applications with little fuss, and you have all the parts that you need to get it in the car. The nice part about our sales staff, nobody's on commission. So we only sell you what you need. If something's not right for you, we're going to tell you it's not right for you and so forth. So we're very flexible with our products. So if you want just a transmission, we can do that. If you want a transmission and a few parts, we can do those too. If you want a transmission and pedals and everything else you need, we have that too. A new service that we offer is installation. So if you want to bring your vehicle here, we can do the installation. We've got 2 professional installers in the shop. We'll schedule it in. The vehicle will be here 7 to 10 days. It does need to come in running, driving condition. When it leaves, it will be in running, driving condition, fully tested, ready to go. The transmission we supplied for the Bronco is the new Transmec TR6060. Although the transmission is new to the U.S. market, the transmission actually has been out since the mid-90s. So it's well proven, it's OE validated with a 10-year, 150,000-mile validation cycle. So we can put these in Broncos, Scouts, Jeep, from CJ up through JK, full-size trucks, all kinds of different applications for the 4050.
Man, this crane came in handy, didn't it? I would not want to have to pick this thing up and move it around. Yeah, well, the problem is we're hitting right here. All right, we'll steady it on here. I'll move this to the engine side. Once I get the weight off, I'll move the jack back.
Okay.
And see if we can make that work. You got it?
Got it.
Okay.
A little bit more. Right there. All right, come up.
Coming up.
Right there.
Okay.
Right there, right there.
Looks like that's gonna do it. Now it'll go in. There you go. All right, we got this big dude in. Now you can see why we had to cut the floor. So now we move on to transfer case and everything else.
Still lots more brand new muscle car to come. We talk original Bronco power plants, and the guys finish shoehorning the huge engine and transmission combination into this 50-year-old truck. Plus, we check out a first-generation 4x4 that's iconic in the Bronco collector world. Stick around.
Learn more about the Ford Bronco story in Todd Zerker's new book. Get your copy of Ford Bronco, A History of Ford's Legendary 4x4 at cartechbooks.com and at popular retailers in-store and online.
When the Bronco was first introduced in the fall of '65, it had a 170 cubic inch 6-cylinder. It was really from the Econoline van family, and it had about 105 horsepower gross, so it was about 85 horsepower net, which was not a lot of power to move a vehicle that weighed between 3,000 and 4,000 pounds. It was comparable to the offerings of the other manufacturers at the time. International and Jeep had similar power outputs on many of their engines. Then in March of 1966, Ford introduced the 289 in the Bronco, and that was an immediate huge advantage because the 289 was rated at around 200 horsepower. So you immediately doubled the horsepower of your base engine offering, and people really responded to that. Now, there are always people wanting more. And so there were always the hot rodders that wanted to put a 351 Windsor in or put a 4-barrel on their 289. But in general, I would say the vast majority of the people that owned Broncos felt that the 289 and then the 302 that followed, before they got smogged down too much in the 70s, felt that was a pretty decent engine for the size of that vehicle.
Okay, so the Coyote motor is in this Bronco. Now the team begins the task of connecting and routing a mile's worth of hoses and wires.
Next up is the dashboard of the Bronco. This is the original dash insert. You just got one big multi-gauge that had your speedometer, temperature, oil pressure, stuff like that, steering column hole, ignition switch, ashtray, radio, choke and HVAC controls, all old school stuff. What Omar did is he went in and he cut this out and put a blank canvas in here, and now we have modern electric bomber gauges. We split them up, put 3 on each side so they look nice and symmetrical, and you can see them. When we have the steering wheel on the steering column, you'll be able to see through the spokes, be able to see all 6 gauges real clear. We have vintage air with the 4 portal style vents. This mysterious hole here in the middle, this is actually going to be where the radio goes. We're going to use a marine boat radio. It's waterproof, sunproof, shockproof. Everything electrical in this thing has to be exposed to the elements. So we're going to make it all watertight. When you're out in the rain and you get rained on, no big deal. When you're washing the mud off at the car wash, no big deal, it's going to work. So while Omar finishes up, we're going to head back over here and start putting the intake, fuel rails, fuel rail covers. I'm just going to run these down, and then I'll come back and hit them with an inch-pound wrench. And they take 106 inch-pounds. And then I'll plug everything back in, all 8 injectors, the solenoid on the back. We have our fuel rail adapter right here. What this does is this adapts it from the factory style fitting down to dash 6. This will go back to the fuel regulator and back to the fuel tank.
There are dozens of restoration and build projects going on at Brand New Muscle Car all the time. And so many of the cars that are created or transformed here leave the shop as family heirlooms, even better than when they were new.
Every restoration shop needs a truck, and this truck's really cool. This is a 51 Ford F1. It's a one-family truck. It was bought by Grandma. Dad learned to drive in it. Now the son has it. Now the grandson's about to get it. It's pretty much a full restoration. A little bit of body work. Of course, it's going to be black, Henry Ford's favorite color. It's got a 2-deuce carburetor, flathead engine. Just an ultimate classic as far as a truck. We love trucks.
It's basically a running, driving car, and then we blew it all apart. Paint and body was out of his wheelhouse, out of his control. So he brought it over for us to do it, and you know, we moved forward on it and got it back together, got the basic shape, and we're staging it through the various processes of getting it to the paint shop. You know, it's a great honor to do the truck because of the fact that it was his grandfather's, it was passed down, and it's going to be passed to his son, which is an amazing thing to me. There's only one rating for this, and it's got to be a 10. Any less than that, then we haven't fully fulfilled our contract with the customer. You come along with one of these guys who's worked hard all his life and always dreamed of doing this, and he's finally attained a little success where he can afford to do this. And it's just a wonderful thing that he's allowed me to be a part of this. The real joy in any of these is the trip through and just the anticipation of it being finished, of it being back in his garage, and he's able to open the door up on a Saturday.
We're not finished yet. We promised you a look at a Bronco Legend, and that is up next. And Richard and Omar team up to get this coyote ready to howl.
Brand new muscle car Classic Bronco is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day on auto parts and accessories. R3 Performance Products, setting a new standard for muscle car and resto mod builds around the world. And by Scoggin Dickey Parts Center, your source for custom-built street-to-strip power.
Lots going on here in Tulsa, but first we head to the Bronco Super Celebration in Tennessee. That's where we found a truck that's a favorite among Bronco enthusiasts.
This is our 1970 Florida Game and Freshwater Fish Commission patrol truck. This truck was in use in the Everglades in 1970. It is a bench seat, 302, 3-speed, half cab. The beacon still works, the siren still works. The truck runs and drives great. It's got a modern suspension put under it so that it drives a little nicer, a little tamer than it was in 1970. Got soft ride, improved radius arms, and better springs, better shocks, shock towers. All around, great truck. Well known in the Bronco community, this truck is beloved by everyone who sees it. Today is a terrible day for a Bronco owner. It's unlike a boat owner. A boat owner's best days are when they buy it, when they sell it. Today we sold this truck. The gentleman was here and we talked for a while and he left, and I'm used to that. I'm used to people talking a while and leaving, and he came back and we talked a little more. He left one more time, and when he came back he said, "I'll take it." And all the blood ran out of my body. I got lightheaded. I thought I'd cry. I had to turn my head, but I shook his hand, and when I shook his hand, it's a done deal. It's his truck. So we're going to deliver the truck. It's a hard day for sure. Very tough day.
Next up, we're going to assemble our fuel tank. We're going to install the fuel pump module, the fuel sending unit, then we'll put our fuel fittings on, then we'll run our AN hose to the front, to our regulator, and then finally to the engine itself. To start off with, we need to find out our measurement to see how deep the fuel pump needs to be. You want the fuel pump about 1/4 to 1/2 inch off the bottom so it doesn't get uncovered. Even with a fuel tank like this one that has baffles in it, so when you're off-roading and you're going left and right, up and down and whatever, it keeps fuel in its own little compartment. You still want to keep this right down close to the bottom as much as you can. So Omar, can you measure this right quick? So it looks like to the top of the gasket we're at about 12.5 inches. We're at about 12.25, so if I raise that up, we're about 1/4 inch off the bottom of the tank, which is where we want to be. So we can go ahead, set that in. The next part to go in is the fuel level sending unit. We'll put this in, right like so. So now that Omar has this stuff put in, what we'll do next is start installing the -6 fittings onto the hose. What Omar's going to do here is he's going to take the first part, screw it counterclockwise onto the hose until it's all the way butted up to the end of the fitting. This is special lube for putting these kind of fittings together. You just put a little bit in there, doesn't take a whole lot. And then you take the other part of the fitting and it screws clockwise in. And once you've started good and straight, then you move to your wrenches and you just screw it together, and it makes a perfect tight seal. Doesn't come loose, doesn't move. Once the gap is gone between the two fittings, he's going to line the flats up so they look nice and clean, and that installation is done on that fitting. All right, and if you'll head to the front, I'll go below. What we have here is -6 AN nylon braided hose. It doesn't wear out, it doesn't crack, it doesn't do any of those things. The big deal with this is it holds a lot more pressure. We need about 56 pounds of pressure to make the Coyote engine run right. Got it? We're gonna run this down the frame rail where it's up and out of the way. We don't have to worry about rocks hitting it or running over tree limbs and snagging it or anything like that. We're just gonna lay it in here for right now. And once we get everything connected for good, then we'll come back with some Adele clamps and mount it forever.
All right.
Okay. Okay, bottom side's done. Now, Omar's gonna make our connections at the fuel pressure regulator. He's gonna connect the pressure side and the return side, and then I'll take some of the extra AN hose that's left over, and I'll make the line that runs from the regulator to the fuel rail. And we won't be very long until it'll start. Okay, fuel system's complete.
Thanks for tuning in to brand new muscle car Classic Bronco. Next week, it's the moment of truth. It's finally time to see if this Coyote engine will come to life on the first try.
You think it'll start?
I got 100 here, says it won't.
Oh, 100 says it won't.
I got no leaks. Hit it.